Psychic Source, America's old.
Write it down and then give it to me. So I wrote, it's one of the great undelivered speeches of all time. And then, of course, when we got to the airport in Indianapolis, we found out that King had indeed been killed.
And the reporters who were sitting near him at the time say that the reaction was just painful to watch, that he turned white. One person says that his head jerked backwards as if he'd been hit by a bullet himself. And they all realize that, of course, he's thinking about his brother's death.
My job was whenever Ethel came into town, I went with the driver to pick her up. So we went out and the turmoil was already going on. We knew kind of something was wrong. There was police everywhere, which...
I was in touch with campaign headquarters in Washington, D.C. I have a note from that night, which I wrote to myself, which basically says that Washington was suggesting that everything be canceled out of respect for Dr. King, and that a statement should be issued along those lines, and to make sure there was no indication given that there was any concern about the security of Robert Kennedy. I went on board and told the senator and around what people in Washington had thought. And the question then arose, what about the rally at 17th and Broadway?
And there were some people saying, maybe, just maybe, Robert Kennedy shouldn't come and speak. And I took the position that he had to come.
Robert Kennedy told me that everyone thought he should not go. The one exception to that was John Lewis, who was there and who had called.
The senator made the decisions. He says, we're going.
There were high-ranking police officers out there, and there was an argument. They were saying there's going to be problems, there's going to be trouble, there's a huge crowd up there. Those people don't know yet. You know, comments like, if something happens, you guys brought it on. Then Robert got off the plane, and he walked Ethel over to the car. She said something to him, and I believe she kissed him. And he talked to her. I know the word love was in the conversation because I heard that. He shut the door and said, stay with her. And I said, yes, sir, I will. The police were getting fairly firm and somewhat loud about he didn't need to go up there. Robert said, I could go up there with my family and go to sleep in the street and no one would bother me. And if they would bother you, then you're the one with the problem.
It was packed. We were packed shoulder to shoulder and standing one in front of the other. My impression is that most of them didn't know what had happened. They were still coming to hear a campaign speech by Robert Kennedy.
There were essentially two crowds there. One was the crowd of Kennedy supporters who come early, who were closer to the platform, and that crowd had more white people in it than the outer crowd, because there weren't going to be a lot of white people who were going to come to a Kennedy rally in a black neighborhood after they